Hey guys, we are back. I've fallen off a little bit with the consistency on the YouTube. Life has been kicking my ass a little bit recently. I don't think I've had a day off in like 6 weeks, but I am committing to the at least one day a week of vlogging my training. So today is not going to be super exciting. For a couple reasons, we've decided to bring down like my program training to 4 days a week. Couple reasons for that, but normally today would be a pressing day. Decided to take this out. I'm still obviously here. I'm going to get some work in, but it's going to be more like a rehab and cardio day. So on top of just being really busy and not recovering well, I've got a couple injuries that I'm dealing with, one of which was just kind of unfortunate, and the other one a little bit my fault. And those are probably actually compounded with the fact that I'm not recovering well. I'm not sleeping as much as I should. There's just been a lot going on in my life. Good things. I'm doing well. But just because things are positive doesn't mean that they're not stressors. So I do need to start prioritizing my rest more. But in the meantime, dealing with a couple little injuries. One is just unfortunate. The bicep injury from the Arnold, I don't think was as healed as I thought it was. It was feeling really, really good. I finally, last Friday, was the first day that I really didn't feel it during training. And then I think that's kind of what caused it. I wasn't feeling it, so I stopped thinking about it. It happened on log. So the last rep of my last set of log for the day, it was moving well. Log felt really good. It was moving beautifully. There's nothing about the rep that I can watch and kind of pinpoint that I did wrong. But I think I was just being a little bit less intentional about my movement because I wasn't feeling it. It wasn't hurting. There was no discomfort for the first time since the injury. And so I think I just kind of stopped thinking about it. And on the last rep, there was like a big audible rip, something like kind of up, like my upper forearm. We're theorizing / hoping that it was just like scar tissue and maybe some like fascia breaking up or something. Functionality has improved a lot since Friday. Objectively, there's no like palpable deformation or I'm having it looked at and monitored. I'm not super worried about it, but it does hurt really bad right now. And so I'm pretty limited in what I can do. So I just want to be smart about that. I'm not super worried about it. I think it is going to heal. The tendon is still intact. There's a lot of good things, but also just wanted to be smart. I can't afford like a really catastrophic injury right now. So we're going to do some rehab for that, pull back a little bit there. And then the other thing is just I'm having some shoulder issues. And I think that was just me being dumb. I didn't really train upper body for a couple months because of the injury. I did a lot of legs, but I didn't really do a whole lot of upper body. And I used that time to really work on my mobility. And as most of us know, mobility without stability is a recipe for injury. And I spent a while improving my mobility, improving my range of motion. And in hindsight, I did not do nearly enough stability work in that time to strengthen those end ranges of motion as I required them. So I got back into training. And even though it wasn't heavy on paper, it was actually pretty light work. It was still heavy for those newly acquired ranges of motion. And so now I'm dealing with some shoulder issues that I'm kind of having to backtrack and work on again. So that was my bad. Hindsight's 2020, but I should have known better. So there's your note. If you're ever going to be working on mobility, especially if you're working on it aggressively, make sure you're pairing at least a 1-to-1 ratio with your mobility and stability exercises. I didn't do that. So now I'm having to backtrack and do it now. So I'm going to start with the mobility routine that I've been doing. I'm not going to film that because I've already put it up here before. I'll figure out how to put the link somewhere if you want to see that. But all of that's up. I'm going to go run through that. That usually takes me about 45 minutes to get through. And then after that, we're going to go into a lot of shoulder stability exercises. And then we're going to work down the chain. So I'm going to start with a bunch of like shoulder rehab and stability stuff. Move on to some like bicep rehab, forearms, and then wrist. So I'm going in that direction because really any exercises that I'm going to do to target the shoulder are going to require the rest of the arm to be used. And so by the time I get to actually rehabbing the distal portions of my arm, they're already going to be slightly fatigued. Even though those exercises aren't targeting those muscles, I do want to be intentional and in control of the amount of volume that I do, especially when you're working with like injury stuff. I don't want to overwork those areas. So if I start from the top, then once I get down, those muscles, like whatever fatigue they've accumulated already, I can take into account when I'm doing those exercises, versus if I started from the bottom, really fatigued them with rehab exercises, and then continued to demand them to work as I moved up the chain. That could potentially put a little bit more volume on those areas than I would like. And I just want to be intentional about the volume that I'm accumulating. So that's why I'm going to start with some shoulders. I'll see you back once we do that. I'm going to do all my mobility stuff. I'll meet you back out there starting with shoulders, and then we'll work down and I'll take you through my rehab. And then depending on how we're feeling / how long we've been here, I might end with some conditioning at the end, because that could always be better too. So I'll see you back out there in a little bit. All right, so it's kind of loud in here right now, so I hope my mic's good enough that you can actually hear me. But we went through the whole mobility routine, and now we're going on to some like more rehab exercises. Like I said, starting with the shoulders. So I'm going to start with a super light band, just working on some external rotation. Focuses on keeping the forearm parallel to the ground. As I get tired, it likes to drift down, so really checking in to make sure that that's staying parallel, the elbow is staying in. I'm being really intentional about feeling it in the right spot, right in the back of my shoulder here. It's really easy to kind of start to cheat and use like more back muscles, and we don't want that. So I'm going to do 10 on each side, one set palm up, one set palm down. The left side is definitely a lot better than the right side right now. I'll show you the difference when we get to the other side. But left hand is able to do it unassisted pretty easily. Palm down's a little bit harder for me. But we're going to go 10 per side here. And then the right side for me is the one that's feeling a little bit injured. I don't really have any external rotation actively on that side. Like, that's me. I can't really do much. So I'm going to use my other hand to help. I'm going to help get into position and then let up a little bit with this hand and try to control the eccentric. So I'm still going to do 10 per side. It's just going to look a little bit different because this side is not really functioning as well as I would like. So assisting on the way out, letting up a little bit, controlling the eccentric, still focusing on keeping the forearm parallel to the ground and the elbow tucked into the side. And again, same thing, 10 palms up, 10 palms down. All right, and we've got another external rotation exercise. This time we're going to use a bar and a bench. Let my arms flop over the bar. I'm going to let my scapula elevate here. As I initiate the movement, I'm going to depress my scapula to start and then finish the rotation. Focusing on staying at 90. Tendency is, especially as I get tired and especially on the right side, for the hand to drift in like that. So really being intentional about vertical forearms, slowly control the way back down. Let the shoulders roll forward a little bit. Depress the scapula to start, engage the lats, and then finish the external rotation. So I'm going to do 8 to 10 reps here, going pretty light. These are only 2.5 pound plates. It's feeling like at this point I might be able to go up to 5s. I've been doing these throughout the week, and they're feeling a little bit better, but I would rather keep them really intentional. I might bump up next time. All right, then my last exercise is going to be a front raise in extreme internal rotation. So I'm going knuckles together, palms facing out. I'm going to put the dumbbells together in front of me, and we're doing a front raise from here. So really wanting it to just be shoulders. I don't want to get shruggy with it or start to use my upper back much. Just front raise to about parallel. And again, doing like 8 to 10 reps here. This is still pretty light. These are just 5-pound dumbbells. Don't want to be heavy on this. These are all rehabby, so nothing should be like heavy or strenuous. It's really just about feeling the muscle, getting some blood flow, a little bit of a pump, but nothing really should be like super hard or painful. So you're going to do 8 to 10 on each of those for 3 or 4 rounds, kind of depending on how much load you're feeling, and then we'll move on to some more like bicep-focused rehab exercises. All right, so I actually decided to throw in one more external rotation exercise. So we're just doing like sideline external rotations. Left side can do fine, I already did that side. Right side, I can only get to about there, and then it stops. And I want to work on increasing that range of motion because this muscle, for some reason, just feels like it's not firing. And I just like hit a wall and it won't go any further. So I'm gonna go as high as I can, use my other hand to assist through the end range of motion, and then let go and control the eccentric. Because we're trying to regain that ability. So we're gonna come up as high as I can, assist, and then control down. All right, and then for bicep, I'm just going to do 2 exercises. The first one's going to be an incline Zotman curl. I'm going super tempoed on this, going for full stretch, full range of motion at the bottom. So being really intentional about initiating the movement with a bicep contraction, no momentum, being really intentional about that, feeling the muscle, slow turn, and then control the eccentric. Okay, flip, make sure I'm starting from a full stretch, intentional initiation of the movement. Twist and control. I'm going to do 8 of these. And probably just this side because my right side isn't bothering me at all. And then I lied. I'm actually going to do the right side too because I don't want to start having problems on that side because I neglected it. So it's going to be easier. That's okay. Just being really intentional. Trying to fight for more range of motion because my pronation sucks. And then same thing. Let it stretch at the bottom. Intentional about the initiation of the movement. Fight for that range of motion, and then control it on the way down. All right, and then I'm going to dish the bench. Just go to my side, same thing, starting from a full stretch, intentional bicep curl up. I'm going to straighten out to parallel, and then slow eccentric down. Full stretch, intentional initiation of the movement, punch out to horizontal, control the eccentric. All right, moving down the chain, now we're just doing pronation supination. We're taking the curl out of it altogether. I posted about this exercise before, but I really like it. Just a kettlebell pronation supination, so you're gonna stand it up on the handle so that the bell is sticking straight up. And now we're just gonna control it back and forth. So tap. So like pretty much everything today, we're doing sets of 8 to 10. Just keep it easy to keep track of. A goal in this one is you really want to control it all the way down. You don't want to let it flop onto the surface, whatever you're using. You want to control it, soft touch, be intentional about the initiation of the movement, and control the other side. All right, and I can actually probably go one heavier than that today, which is a good sign. Whew. Sometimes the kettlebell jumps are a little bit tricky. One might be too easy, and then the next one up might be a little bit too hard, especially on the supination direction. So I think it's okay to use your other hand to help with the start of that movement just enough, and then still be intentional about controlling the other side. All right, so I'm going to do one giant set of the kettlebell rotations some band rotations, but similar kind of concept. You want to keep the elbow tucked in. We're just working on pronation supination, so as far as you can against the band. Again, keeping it simple, 8 to 10 reps per direction, per hand. So that first set of 8, I grabbed it palm up and rotated in. Now I'm going to grab it palm down and rotate out. All right, and then very last thing for the day, I'm just going to do some wrist extensions and curls. I've filmed these before, but just to go over them really quickly again. This is the only thing that I'm going to do higher reps. I think lower rep sets of this, just I don't really get what I need to out of it. So I'm going to do sets of 15 to 20 on this, really just kind of go until I feel a good pump and then do a few more reps. But on the curls, I want to let it fall into my fingers. Start the movement from the fingers, so finger curl up and then wrist curl, and then control it back down into my fingertips. So the set takes a while, but you want to go slow and intentional with it, really be focusing on using your forearm muscles, controlling it on the way down, into the fingertips, initiate the movement from the fingers, hand, wrist. And then staying on the same side, we're just going to flip it over and go into wrist extensions. So you're going to let your hand fall as far as can. I like to push until I feel a stretch in my extensor muscles. And then again, just like everything else, being really intentional about initiating the movement by contracting those muscles. I like to do a little bit of a pause at the top. And then again, as always, control it back down. All right, so that's a wrap on exercises for the day. Again, nothing really exciting, but still important. Some good nuggets in there for anyone that's dealing with like some shoulder, elbow, bicep, wrist issues. A lot of good rehab stuff in there. I mean, not an exciting day, but still a really intentional and mindful day. And I was still here for like 3 hours. There's a lot of work, not physically tiring, but mentally tiring. Like if you're doing rehab stuff correctly, it should be mentally tiring. Like you should be really thinking about what you're doing and being mindful about it. So, you know, not a fun day, but I'm really happy with the work that I put in. I'm going to end with a little bit of cardio. I've been doing some light jogging, like a 2-minute walk, 1-minute jog, kind of back and forth for, 15 to 30 minutes on the end of some of my workout days, and I've been kind of liking that. So I'm going to keep that up. I'm going to end probably with just 20 minutes of that 1-minute jog, 2-minute walk back and forth, just to get my heart rate up a little bit before I finish up. So the goal is to try to do some events tomorrow. We'll see what my arm can handle. It's actually feeling a lot better after doing everything today, so I feel really optimistic about that. So hopefully next week I'll be able to take you guys along on my event day, and we'll actually be able to do some stuff. So as always, let me know in the comments if you have any questions. Let me know if there's other things you want to see. I need to get back in the habit of doing YouTube videos more often. So hopefully I will see you soon, but at a very minimum, I'll see you next week for my last day of the block.